Welcome to the Front Porch with Brian Beaudry.
First of all, I'd like to welcome today's guest, Kaitlyn DeGrasse from Special Event Rentals up in Edmonton, Alberta, which is in Canada for
It's in
my fellow
Canada.
Americans who
Mhm.
are not familiar with hockey. Um,
Shame.
let's start with the basics. Who are you? Uh, where are you from besides like Edmonton? And why do you think you were listed on Rental Management's 12 to Watch Under 40 list?
Ooh, really great question. Well, I was born and raised in Canada, not in Edmonton specifically, in Ottawa, Ontario. And that's where my career kind of started. And then it moved into Edmonton, Alberta. But this is home now. Like Edmonton, Alberta is home for the last like 12 years. So along with that, SC, like Special Event Rentals is also my home. So it's a good place to be. Super cold. Not gonna lie, toques are definitely um, everyone's wearing them here, and we're all drinking Tim Hortons. So it's good. Why I think I was listed is I think I have great ideas that I can follow through with. I can definitely see the bigger picture instead of just what's next or what tomorrow brings. So I think that is a strong suit of mine is overall picture and how to achieve getting there with a fleet of people underneath you. Um, and customer service driven. I think that when you can connect with people in this industry, um, I think it makes all the world of difference on how you succeed in this industry as well.
For sure. Well, that sounds like a formidable set of skills.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
the ability to do stuff further in the future and really plan out is definitely a powerful skill.
Yeah. I mean, it
Mike,
doesn't always turn out the way you want it to, but
as long
yeah,
as you can adapt, that's
yeah,
good.
you can. Exactly.
Okay, well, let's start off going back into your history a little bit. In the article about your being named to this list, you mentioned that your journey began with an inherent love for events.
Yeah.
So take me back there, and what are you doing with your mom growing up? I know she was in the event business.
It's not even what I was doing with her, but what I saw her doing. So she's raising two kids, and she gets all the fun stuff. It's not just like a 9 to 5 where, dad goes to work and you see him when he comes home for supper. Like she's out and about, during the evenings. She's bringing home beautiful things, and regardless, that was inspiring as a little girl. You're just like, look at this, she can walk into a room full of people and she lights up the room, and she can decorate a room quite nice. So I feel like that was super intriguing as a little girl, not thinking that I would ever want to be an event planner or something in the rental industry at all. But that was intriguing to see my mom kind of be this like special person and doing all these special events or conferences or meetings. And all the perks that kind of come along with that in our industry. So I think that's what intrigued me the most about this industry. So I kind of followed suit and hoped for the best, went to school um, for hospitality and tourism, and fell into the rental industry because of that. So fell into it was called Party Time Rentals at the time. I think it's still up and operating in on like Ottawa, Ontario, owned by Freeman Audio Visual. I don't know if you know them, but they later kind of took over. Anyway, so that's kind of how I got into the industry. And I think looking back at everything when I was at Party Time Rentals, it was just, again, so fun to see all of this decor and what brings, I feel like rentals do bring, especially in the event industry, bring kind of everything together, it brings pieces together. So I thought that was just super unique. And I kind of just, I guess, fell in love and stayed. Yeah.
You don't have to question it. It's your
Yeah.
story.
Well, I
Like
feel
I'll
like there's
believe you.
yeah, believe me, I guess I did because I've been here for like I think in the industry for 14 years. So yeah,
Yeah, you must like it at least a little bit.
a little bit. Yes. Yeah.
So again, when you're watching your mom growing up, are you ever like participating in the setup of any of these events? Are you like at what point do you become aware that this is like a potential career for you?
No, not necessarily was I helping her. I think behind the scenes, she would bring things home and we'd have to do like menus or programs or kind of organize that, but never really with her. Um, I guess the passion came when I kind of fell into it. So kind of bridging the gap between, oh, this is kind of what I know at home. now I'm kind of in it and doing something different, a different side of the event, with rentals instead of planning it. So I think that kind of bridged my love for it, as I already kind of knew a little bit about it. And then rentals was so new. And I guess together kind of just made sense in my brain and kind of made me think, no, I can do this. I'm good at this and I can evolve. And just like the rental industry, everything evolves. So you do as a human too. So I think that's kind of where my love came, is just kind of when the bridge kind of came together and I could walk across it, knowing both kind of worlds, or getting familiar with one and kind of bringing my world into the rental industry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna stick around in your childhood for a little while longer.
Love.
Um, did you have a favorite type of event that your mom would get involved in, or like bring stuff home from back then?
Well, I guess what I didn't mention is that she also kind of worked. She worked two jobs. So she worked at an arena. So Ottawa Senators hockey. Let's
Oh,
talk about
awesome.
that. But she worked at the arena. So one thing that kind of sticks in when you ask that question is she was a suite hostess. So she kind of had to host, along with like set up her suite, make it fun, make it like put all your decor into it. So yeah, I feel like that was it. Like I really liked that. Yeah.
That one does always seem fun. I used to work in.
Yeah.
I was a game day staff intern for an arena football team, so yeah, I've worked on the arena side of things.
And it's like it's a whole other, as you probably know, like when you step into the arena and everyone's just like cheering, and they're like, whether it's a concert or whether it's like a hockey game or whatever's happening, like it's kind of electric, the crowd and like the space and the overall feeling. So I thought, yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
that would definitely appeal to me as
Yeah.
well.
And again, super fun. Like none of my friends' moms were doing this at the time. They have 9 to 5 jobs, and I'm like, going to all the concerts or help it. Yeah. So I feel like it was a it was kind of nice to look at and be like, oh, I could do that one day. This is so much fun.
Were you leveraging that to be among the cool kids, or?
Yeah, the cool kids. Cool kids. There's no cool kids anymore. Everyone's cool.
Oh, okay. Um, how were birthday parties growing up? I can picture it going like a variety of ways with an event planner as a parent. Either they like want to go over the top for you, or they're like, no, I do that professionally. We're not having parties.
Great question. I go over the top for my two little ones. Over the top. And it's fun, but I don't do it for holidays. I'm so, like do for like my work, I'm setting up trees all day. I don't want to set up my own tree. I don't want to do that. So I bought a tree a couple years ago, that you don't need any decorations. It just has these beautiful lights on it. You just prop it up, take it down. But I do birthdays, and yeah, growing up too, they were also elaborate. So I couldn't think. I mean, in my brain, like you have to kind of continue that. Yeah,
Okay, what was your best birthday?
like of my own.
Yeah, of
Oh
your
my,
own, and then
of
I
my
mean,
own.
it could be your kids as well, but
Oh, um, Sweet 16. Sweet
why was that?
16.
What was so awesome about that one?
Oh, I
Besides,
think
just generally.
I think all my friends and my family, that we did like a Tiffany's birthday. So I remember a Tiffany's cake. We had um, an uncle do a DJ out front and all this like glow up furniture. So I feel like, yeah, I think that was really fun. Yeah.
That one does
This is
sound
great. You're
quite
taking me
fancy.
down memory lane. I love it. This is awesome. I haven't
Good,
talked about that in a long time.
good.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one that you've done for your kids? Or do you have
Um,
something planned that's even more exciting for the future that we can spoil
oh
if they
goodness.
were to weirdly listen to this podcast?
Well, they're all pretty good. But my favorite was definitely Toy Story. So when Elliot turned 2, he was super into Toy Story. So I bought all of the figurines. We made Forkies. We had like 50 Forkies coming out of cupcakes. We had the big balloon arch. We had the cake that was clouds. Like it was just, and we had the boxes. Remember in Toy Story where the animals all go through the cardboard boxes, houses, and banks. So we did all those apps. So I feel like that was the most invested I was. Is that his 2-year-old, his number 2 birthday? Yeah, it
How
was the best.
many how much time did you spend on this? How many pictures did you get? And how much are you going to remind him of this in the future?
I mean, we always have to top the last one, I guess.
Yeah.
Lots of photos. I work well under pressure, so I kind of did this as much as I like bought things off Amazon and like had like things already ordered. This was like the day before. Work much better under pressure than let's do things a week out or even a month out. So it was not that bad. Not that bad. A lot of work. It was a long night. But other than that, it was perfect. He woke up and he was like the happiest little boy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like something that would be good for the event industry because I know that there's a lot of last minute and a lot of
Yeah.
pressure to get things done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like kids' birthdays, there's not enough planners. We need more planners in this like little niche because people like to go big for their kids' birthdays and some people don't just have the time or like the energy. So,
For
yeah.
sure. I definitely don't have the energy for it. It's like, look,
I mean, cardboard boxes, you could do that. No problem.
yes,
Just
cardboard
write
boxes.
blank
We're
on
not
it.
decorating them. You're going to throw the
Cut
cardboard
them
box.
out. They can play in them. It was great. Anyways.
Uh, it seemed like, based on my calculations, you started at special event rentals at 22, but
Yeah.
you said you didn't envision a career in rental at the time. I have quotes
No.
around this because it said that in the thing. What were
Yeah.
you going to do?
I don't know. I really, at the time when I moved here, I didn't know what the opportunities were. The only thing when I moved, made the move from Ottawa to Edmonton, was all I knew at the time, or my only big girl job was in rentals. So, um, one of my colleagues at the time kind of helped me reach out to other rental like companies in Edmonton. But I didn't know where Edmonton would take me. Like I had no idea what was in Edmonton, what this new company was. Was it bigger? Was it smaller? All of these things. So I didn't really have a direction. I think the only thing in my mind I would say is I was really creative, like with decor and styling and um, events specifically. So I didn't really know that I wanted to stay in the event or the rental side of it until I got here and started working at special event rentals.
Okay, so then you've come back around to it a little bit. I was going to mention it earlier. Ottawa, Edmonton, not close.
Not
They're
close. They're
way
far.
far away. So
Yeah.
why did you end up in Edmonton?
Um, a love story. Let's say that it ended in Edmonton, but it was a love story. The person my partner at the time, moved here for like a government job, and I moved with him. I moved with him, and that was a big deal, obviously. Um, and yeah, so I followed him here. Yeah,
And then you
and I
found,
stayed.
yeah, and then you found Edmonton, you found special event rentals, and
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Funny story about that. There's two competitors here, like Special Event Rentals and another company, obviously. And they both hired me. They both hired me. And the competitor was a bit better in wage, but the Special Event Rentals, the person that interviewed me was just like, her name is Emma, but she was so kind and welcoming, and like it was just like a chat, like get to know each other, where the other one was not like that. So I chose this side, not knowing anything. Like I didn't really know anything about either company. I think it was a great choice.
I
Yeah,
hope so, like 11 years later.
11 years later.
Okay, so I'm sure you had one view of the events industry, like as a kid. What was kind of the first like myth dispelled moment of your career, or has that come yet?
I don't know if it's come yet.
You still just love it just as much as when you were a kid. You're
Kind
still
of.
enthralled by all of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously so many different factors. Like it's way more stressful. I'm stressed. Not when I was a kid, I wasn't stressed about anything.
Yeah,
And just like like going like events can kind of be any hour. So that's kind of challenging sometimes, but super flexible during the day. So I feel like I still have the same passion, which keeps me relevant and like, I don't know, keep climbing, I guess, or keep, getting better and learning. So I
yeah.
like it just as much.
So there's never like a point where you're out on a site at like 10 p.m.
Oh,
saying like,
definitely. You're
what,
like, I want to quit my job,
why?
but why? Why am I here when you're like, you were supposed to schedule at 10 and then they start partying until 12? Absolutely. But that's everywhere. I feel like that's in any aspect of your life where you kind of um, lose your cool or get frustrated. But overall, no, I think I still do have that same spark, at least for events, um, and wanting to be so much more creative each time over and over and over again.
Yeah. Is that how you always would bounce back from those situations? You just like realize that,
Yeah.
oh, I'm here because I want to be because I love this.
Yeah. And you learn like in those moments, it's like, how can I, at least for myself, like, how can I make it better next time? Like, do I need to be here at 10? Can we move back that, like, so all of these things you kind of learn from. And yeah, one thing about the event industry, even the rental industry, is I feel like there's always room for improvement or more or better or carving the way or setting aside your brand. So I love all of that with our industry because I feel like other industries don't have that. I feel like they're kind of stuck in one way or it's just 9 to 5. It's very like systematic. So I feel like that's maybe one of my loves for this industry is that specifically.
Awesome. Okay. How has working at event in the event rental industry kind of shaped how you see events? Like I mentioned earlier, when I worked game day staff at Arena Football, I started seeing like all these games
Mhm.
from like game day perspective of like, oh, that's that's what's going on with that promotion. Oh, this is happening because something got screwed up in the script and they hadn't accounted for that. That's why this is going on or whatever. How has that changed how you view events?
Um, I guess I don't really know. I guess what I will say to that is, um, it makes you understand the whole concept of an event. Like the rent, I feel like rentals definitely bridges together everything. It bridges together need to know when your AV is going in. You kind of need to know where your planner is. You're at the loading dock. You're on the floor. You're setting up. So I feel like any rental crew or a rental coordinator sees everything. So they get to absorb so much. So if you are in love with events, this is a great place to kind of see everything. The bad, the good, the ugly. You get to see when, AV or you mess up, and how the planner comes in and steps in and takes care of it. Like you wouldn't know that as attending any event, what kind of happened behind closed doors. You might have your own opinions about, the food or the decor, but you don't get to see any of that where in the rental industry, you do. You get to see it all from start to finish, the planning side, you get to connect. Like everything is very, on the bigger jobs, very logistically planned out. And rentals is a huge part of that because most of the time we're taking up all the time at the loading dock. We're taking up time on site. We're, we're in people's way or a chair broke, who knows what it
Yeah.
is. So I feel like we get to see a lot, which is super great for anyone um, wanting to be in this industry as a planner or anything. I feel like rentals would be a great start.
Does How does it affect you, like, as a person if you're going to, like, someone else's event? Are you ever, like, judgmental or, like,
And
noticing
I
any of
plead
the
the fifth. I
problems?
cannot say anything. If my coworkers are in here right now, they would just spill all the tea to you. Yeah, I feel like it definitely makes you critical. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
but you don't say anything. You just kind of move on. But it makes you critical. And when you're hosting your own event, oh my goodness, like, you just have to everything's so elaborate because God forbid anyone came and judged your event. So, like, so both ways, but yeah,
Okay,
makes sense
so these birthday parties, there's some level that's like, I have to do better the next
yes,
year because I want to, just
impress.
make more awesome events. But there's some
Exactly.
level of, like, I gotta live up to a standard at
I
least.
know. I just was at, a friend's birthday party, and I left, and I was like to my husband, I was like, "Brent, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if I could be less?" You know? He's like, "It would be so nice. It would be so nice." But my brain just doesn't work that way. I feel like it's just not that type.
See, I'm trying to convince the team for our ARA booth. It's like 1 year, just do one of those, like, going back to our roots things and just, like, lower the standard so it's much easier to
Oh
achieve.
my god. Okay, but POR can't do that.
I know how.
You can't do that. Your booth is like when I was just there in Las Vegas, like, you couldn't even get in. Like,
Yeah,
everyone is
no
packed
one's
around.
taking my suggestion
No,
seriously, but
no,
it would be so much
no.
easier
You need more
to build
space,
off.
actually, Brian, you need more.
Yeah, that's true.
Ugh,
Uh, the article mentioned that you spearheaded a company expansion into what sounds like high-end events. Uh,
yeah.
when did that happen, and why?
We got it in almost 3 years ago now, and it was, we found that Edmonton was just lacking luxe furniture, like something that's a bit more high end. And we noticed more people were having conferences in Edmonton, with more of the direct flights coming in. We're not as expensive as Calgary. So we noticed this little market that wasn't being like attended to. Um, and everything was being brought up from Calgary. So everything was being tracked down from Calgary. So Neil, the owner of Special Event Rentals, one year, I was like, Neil, let me just go into this booth at the ARA. Like, they have all these beautiful things. And I thought he was going to shut me down. He's like, okay, go ahead. I was like, okay. So that year we brought in a full container of just like beautiful high-end furniture, and it's been doing well ever since. So we have like a whole other division of especially event rentals here. It's our furniture line, and it has a dedicated like crew and truck and whole different management. Well, not really, but kind of. And yeah, it's doing really well, and I'm super proud of it. And it's like my baby. I attend to it. I'm over there every other like every week, kind of going through all of our inventory and making sure everything is good. But it's something that Edmonton definitely needed. Um, and so we're happy to have it, and hopefully it just keeps expanding.
And it's something that you had just like happened to notice that this market was kind of becoming bigger in the area, or you were looking at all these orders that you're getting stuff from Calgary, or how exactly did you kind of say like now's the time
Now's the
versus
time. I think you kind of always have to prove yourself. It's not like we just saw this hole and we brought in this furniture, but a lot of the Edmonton planners that were getting the jobs for these conferences or galas, um, they would come through us and we just wouldn't have what they were looking for. So they would get most of like their chairs and their linens and all of these things. And then they were bringing in other like Calgary rental companies or wherever. And I was just like, okay, let's just kind of bring in some pieces, see if they do well. Maybe not like a full container load, and they were doing really well. Um, and I think it was just at the time, it just kind of everything fell in line. I was standing outside the ARA booth, not the ARA booth, but a booth at the ARA. And I think something just kind of everyone was like, I think this is what we need. Like we have also a location in Calgary, and they were also kind of saying like, yeah, you do need this. Like I see the trucks going up there, so it's something that maybe you guys should invest in. So we kind of invested, and it's been doing well ever since. And it's beautiful stuff, like beautiful.
and when you go to this booth and
Yes, it's a
you're
dream.
asking to view this booth,
Mhm.
do you have like upfront permission? Hey, go ahead and buy a container worth of stuff.
I mean, my colleague gave me like, what did he say? He's like, oh, you have a $10,000 budget, and I think like times 20 I'll need. But so yeah, I think it was just I don't know. I don't know if anyone thought it was actually going to happen or if it was just like a dream they were letting me live out. I don't know. Um, but whatever happened was good because it's here, it's in our shop, and it's taken care of. And yeah, everyone kind of seems to really like it and appreciate it.
Good.
Yep.
All right. Before we get into other things, I want to play a game with you.
Oh goodness,
We'll call it Kaitlyn or Ain't Lyn.
Aitlin.
Ain't Lyn.
Aitlin.
I don't know. Your name's not the easiest one to come up with one for this. If you agree with the statement or it's true, say Kaitlyn. If you
Okay.
disagree with it, say Ain't Lyn.
Okay.
And then I'll need a reason for each one. So,
Oh,
Kaitlyn or Ain't Lyn, you've been known to cry at movies.
Caitlin.
Is there a
Yeah.
particular type of movie that hits
I
hard?
feel like any type of love story gets a tear.
Okay.
Anyone. Yep. At some point, whether
Is
they're
there a
good.
favorite one?
Um, I just watched Overboard like 2 nights ago, so that's up there on my, like
Like the
do you know
original
that?
one?
The original one
Okay, I
with
remember
Goldie
that one.
Hawn?
Yeah, I remember
Oh
Goldie
my
Hawn, Kurt
goodness,
Russell.
anyways, so I just watched that, so that's one of my favorites. And I would say Dirty Dancing, those are 2 pretty awesome movies.
Okay, those are classics.
Yeah.
All right, Caitlin or Ain't Lyn, you've cheated at a board game.
Caitlin, yep.
Is there a particular game that brings it out of you, or
No, I just don't, love board games, so to speed it up, you just gotta cheat and win.
okay?
Cheat and win, and you have no shame in that.
All right, Caitlin or Ain't Lyn, you've told an outrageous lie to a child.
Caitlin, again,
I was gonna
yes.
say you're a parent, so
I'm a
usually the
parent.
answer is
Absolutely.
okay.
You lie. It's when they start to actually catch on to your lies or they start telling your lies to other people, you're like, "Oh, might have to stop that."
Do you have an example of one of those?
Yeah, I told him a couple days ago. He asked if his grandma could pick him up from daycare, and I said absolutely. And I totally forgot about it. Picked him up myself, and he's like, "Well, where's grandma?" I told him he was sick. She was sick. Um, we got home. My husband comes home. He's like, "Let's call grandma, daddy." So we call grandma, and he's like, "Oh, are you sick, grandma? Are you going to come over after the doctors?" I was like, "Oh no, oh no." So yeah, that was just the other day.
I might have gone with, well, I did say she could pick you up, but I picked you up instead.
Anyways, I didn't know it was all happening. It happened all so
Yeah.
fast. I didn't even like think anything of it when she's like, "Let's call grandma." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. Call grandma."
Yeah. All right, Kaitlyn or Ain't Lyn, your favorite fast food fries are from McDonald's.
I don't know. Aitlin. Aitlin.
Okay.
I think Wendy's are much better.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting.
I feel like Wendy's changes their fries too often to have a for sure answer.
Do you
But what?
actually think they changed their fries?
Well, I mean, over the many years that I've had Wendy's fries, they have definitely changed
Hmm.
the recipes and
And
styles.
McDonald's has been always a staple. Like it's always been the same.
Well, allegedly they changed what they fried it in, but it's much less noticeable than Wendy's,
Wendy's.
and also Burger King definitely changed their fries like massively a long time
Huh.
ago. But
I haven't been to Burger King in a long time.
yeah, me either.
Like, anyways.
I had a bad experience once upon a time, which I have since realized was probably more just my personal dehydration because it's like, oh, actually, I played tennis all day and only drank soda, and it was like 100 degrees out all day.
Hmm.
That was probably more of the problem than whatever I ate.
Maybe more of the problem.
Yeah. Kaitlyn or Ain't Lyn, you have an embarrassing nickname or a nickname that you hate.
No, Aitlin. I don't have any nicknames. I don't think.
Okay. Well, that was
That
not
was
the
it.
most exciting ending to that game, but you made it through it. And now we'll get to some other
Sorry.
questions.
Okay.
All right.
You can't really have a nickname with Caitlin. Like, what kind of nickname?
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. It's
Caitlin
a
is
tough
like,
one.
I mean, some people call me Kate, but that's not fun. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Well, some people might get really annoyed by being called Kate and be like, "No, my
Yeah.
name is Kaitlyn."
I am that person.
Okay. Well, so
I'm
then
that.
that is a nickname that you hate.
Okay. If you call me Kate, I say, no, it's Caitlin. Like, no thanks.
Okay. Also, it could be Lynn, but apparently
Oh, Lynn,
it
no.
ain't Lynn. So,
No, it's
yeah.
Aitlin.
All right. You also host a podcast.
Hmm.
What is it, and why did you want to start a podcast?
Um, it's called the Special Event Rentals Podcast. And kind of like what you're doing, we just interview local planners and event planners, wedding planners and venues. Um, I guess the reason I wanted to start it, two reasons. I think that people love connecting. So when I kind of reach out to any of our clients here, they love to be like, absolutely, I would love to be on your podcast. So I feel like it brings a sense of connection and a little bit more of like understanding between the two. Um, and there was no one else doing it in our industry here in Canada specifically. Not many people have podcasts. And from what I'm seeing, social media and podcasts are like the new way of life. So we kind of said, let's give it a shot. We've always been ahead of the game, I believe, in Edmonton with our social media. Um, if you kind of look at all of our pages, we're always current. We're always, um, out, like always getting content out there. So we kind of wanted to just try it, and it's been fun. It's been fun.
How long have you been doing it?
It's only been like a year now.
Okay.
Like a full year. The thing in our industry, we have to take a pause during the summer because no one can attend your podcast. Like no one is
Yeah.
wanting to be on it because they're super busy. But now we're getting back into the swing of things. But yeah, I think people really like it. They like listening to it. There's nothing out there, at least here, that has any type of, everyone always says they're going to start a podcast and they never really do. So, yeah, I think it's just a fun thing to bring people together and like let everyone hear their story. And I think it's part of our brand too, getting just our brand or oval logo out there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Dang, I had questions and now my mind has gone blank.
I have a question for you.
Oh, but that's
Oh,
later on. There's a "Do you
later?
have any
Okay,
questions
perfect.
for me" section.
Okay, perfect.
You only get one, so that's
Okay,
on
that'll
you.
be a good one.
Uh, you've kind of alluded to it, but what is your favorite part of hosting a podcast now that you've done it for a little bit?
I just think hearing their story in a different way. Like I see them on site all the time. I'm always emailing them. I'm putting in their orders. We're always talking shop instead of just like, who are you? How is your company doing? Like, where did you start? Kind of like you're doing now. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Like, and then that connection that you also bring, like to the business, but also like a human connection from me to whoever I'm interviewing. So I think that would be the biggest, is just getting to learn a little bit more of them and them learning a little bit more of me or the organization. So I think that's my favorite part.
Awesome. So mine, I kind of started because I'm not very outgoing or
Mhm.
naturally like willing to start up a conversation. So this kind of forces me to. It doesn't seem like that's necessarily the case for you. You seem like more like you're happy to talk with people or start a conversation normally.
Yeah, I would. Yes, you're exactly right. But I am shy. So as much as I can start up a conversation, walk into a room and kind of hold my own, being on camera was definitely a bit of a stepping out of my comfort zone, being recorded, being kind of like you're very critical of yourself. You're looking back and you're like, don't say this, don't do that. So that was all very new to me and scary to me. So that's something I overcame. I'm still there, like even getting on today's podcast, I'm like, I'm a little nervous. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I feel like I'm okay talking to people. Absolutely.
Good. Why did you make the decision to go video like immediately? Because I know I started audio only because people were generally unwilling to
Mhm.
get on video, but you started with video. It seems like.
Video. Yeah, that was super important. Everything we do is visual in this industry. Everything you have to touch, you have to feel, you smell. So it definitely couldn't just be audio. Like, I just don't think it would hit the target market that I wanted to hit. They want to like, there's some people that have come on and decorated the set, and we've kind of showed that. Um, but yeah, definitely, we're just in an industry that everything is visual. We want to be captivated. We want to see things. Yeah,
All right.
don't want to always leave it up to our imagination.
So you had a whole plan going into this.
Yes,
That's a
absolutely.
good idea.
Yeah.
The article mentioned you attended the ARA show. It sounds like you've already mentioned that you attended the ARA show, but which
Yes.
one did you go to that got you started being involved with ARA?
Mm, I think it was like 2000 and I don't know when, but it was in New Orleans.
Okay.
It was in New Orleans, and I just remember, um, just getting started in this, like, new position at Special Event Rentals, and not just, like, taking orders or kind of being on site. So it kind of brings me back to a place where I kind of like you, I had to force myself to be outgoing and, like, not shy in a room full of people that kinda knew each other. They know a lot more about the industry, and you're kinda going in being the newbie. So, I think at that point when I was welcomed and everyone was just very welcoming at these, like, social events or during the sessions or even on the floor, made me realize like this is such a bigger industry than I actually had in my mind. It's a pretty cool industry and one that's always accepting.
Yeah, is I was gonna ask, is that the point where you kind of realize like, hey, this is definitely like the career that I want to stay
No,
in?
I would say I don't know, I can't put a timeline on it. But I'm
I
not gonna
need timelines.
I know 2000 and um I think when I decided I really wanted to be something in this industry was especially event rentals, to be very honest. Working with the owner and Lars and a team full of people that are always creative. Um, Always kind of going back to my mom, like all of these things are super intriguing. They're going to these conferences. We're doing these large events with all of these event planners. So you see all these trucks come in and turn, your convention hall into something that's like out of this world. Seeing all that and being a part of it and knowing that you can only go up, I think was definitely a pivotal moment in my career. But it definitely had to do with the people in these four walls, and how they've lifted me up and they've let me be creative and they've trusted me and they've let me fail and they've let me succeed. So I think this is SER, especially event rentals, is definitely why I have a career and want a career in rentals.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now you are very involved. You have a podcast as well. You are now an industry thought leader. Do you feel like an industry leader?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And maybe it's because I'm just surrounded by people that just have more years on me or more knowledge and I'm always absorbing. But no, I don't feel like that. But I think that's a big compliment. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna ask if you have imposter syndrome because I feel like that's something that's very easy to have, especially if you are around all these people that everyone seems to have it all together.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think I have it. But yeah, no, I guess I just want to be around them because I feel like even quick decisions, like you kind of like come to like Neil or Lars and you spit these questions and they're just so confident in answering them. They're like, yes, no, yeah, like so yeah, I'm always learning from them, but I can't
Okay.
be them because I feel like we work so good as a team. That's why we do so well. I think we all have our different strengths and weaknesses. And hopefully they learn from me too. Just kidding.
Good. When you go to the ARA show nowadays, do you feel an obligation to be as friendly and welcoming as those first people were to you?
Yes. Yes, I think that's how we get new people. That's how we, all these new generations coming in, like even this past show, you see all these like newbies there or just um young people and you're just like good for you. This is a good industry and like it can be a career and you can do amazing things um here. So I feel like yes, you have to be just as welcoming as the people that welcomed me for sure because that makes you just a little bit more at ease, a little more comfortable. It's okay to be new and yeah, it's okay to learn.
It's good to learn. We want
Yes,
people to.
always, every day, learn something new.
All right. Um, tell me about tell me something about yourself that's not work related because I didn't get the pre-screening questionnaire until today.
Today.
So I have a
Um,
whole bunch of stuff, and I feel very awkward about probing around people's personal lives and just like guessing.
um, well, I love my 2 children, so that's basically where my heart is right now, is with them. There's Violet, which is 2, and Elliot is 4, so I have my hands full along with, like, a full-blown career. But for fun, I love styling and designing. So I feel like everything is always moving in my house. I'm always at HomeSense or Winners. I think in the States, you guys have, like, Home Goods and, like, Target. Ours is HomeSense and Winners.
Okay.
So or Michael's, but yeah, I feel like I'm always designing something, and all my friends and family too. If they ever have like a design project, I'm on it. With even if they don't ask for my help, I'm definitely there.
And when you say like design, are you meaning like only rooms and areas, or are you meaning like
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
posters
matter.
and stuff that's kind of around?
Like definitely rooms. Like my girlfriend right now, she's opening like a little spa, a little massage place in her home. So I'm helping her with that. Another friend is like having a baby, so I've helped her with her baby room, but also all of her like parties. So yeah, I feel like anything like that is like a hobby of mine. I love just doing that and then hanging out with my kids and my family.
I was gonna say two very different product projects: a spa and a child's room or a
It's
baby's room.
see, that gives you a range of like just
Yeah,
I could do yeah. Anyways, anything that comes to, like with a party or design or styling, I feel like I know it's not like a it probably in the list of hobbies, but that's really what I like to do.
okay. What's something that people misunderstand about you?
Ooh, that's a really great one. Um, I hmm, maybe my confidence. Maybe they kind of translate that into someone that's kind of being nitpicky or too assertive. Um,
But you just said that you were so nice about
I know,
not
but some
giving.
people can take when you are confident. They can take it. Everyone has their own perspectives. So maybe I don't know. I don't really know.
That's fair. Well, it's okay.
What do you think? No, I'm
You
just
haven't
kidding.
seemed too scarily assertive or aggressive or anything
We
so
haven't been
far.
on site
So
with me yet, Brian.
that's fair. I haven't. I'm sure if you saw some of the things that I would try to design, you would have some feedback.
If my girls, my sales team, if they were listening to this, they would kind of be laughing because they set up the showroom. So they design tables in our showroom and they execute them. That's where I feel like when I go in and I'm like trying to critique things in a very polite way, they can kind of maybe take it differently because it is, I mean, design is all about what you like. Like it doesn't have to be what everyone else likes or a trend. Design is very much a, a representation of who you are and what you like.
Yeah, I feel the same way about words and like word choice within paragraphs and like writing. And yeah, people will run writing by me, and it's like, do I need to nitpick this? Like, I really want to. It's probably fine the way they have it written, but I want to change it so much.
Oh, you have to meet my colleague Lars. He's exactly the same way. Like
Okay.
he loves to like I'll write stuff up for social media, and he's always like, "You should just take out a couple sentences. Like we don't need all these words." And I'm like, "We're keeping every word." Sounds great.
Perfect. All right, we've gotten to the point where you get to ask me one question. You get one.
Okay, well, you already asked my question. Why did you start a podcast?
Oh,
So
good.
now I have to switch my question. Has having a podcast made you more outgoing? Are you more comfortable in social settings by having a podcast? Has it taken you outside your comfort zone like you kind of wanted it to? Ouch.
Hmm. I will say it has taken me a little bit more out of it, probably.
Yeah.
It is definitely much more. I'm definitely much more comfortable with a nice like list of questions and being prepared and not having to worry about like just the awkwardness of some questions where you can't prepare for it. Like,
Yeah.
say you ask about, someone's dad and their dad just like died last week. It's
Yeah.
like I don't
What
like
do we
asking.
say? Yeah.
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 It's
Well, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I think you're doing a great job.
But that's because
And
I'm preparing for this.
I we are very different. I don't prepare at all. I have like all in my head. So but then I also find times I'm like, have to have backup because if it does get awkward, you have to bring it back somehow. But yeah.
Yes. Well, you that makes you a very good guest, is being able to just fly off the seat of the pants or whatever.
Yeah. That's exactly how you say it.
Oh, this is where it would have been really helpful for you to have read these questions. Before we
Perfect.
get to the 5 important questions, I need you to give me a top 5 list in a segment we call "Give Me 5." Now, it seems like not everyone knows the rules of a good top 5 list. You got to start at number 5 and go build up to number 1,
Okay.
because once someone tells you they're number 1, no one cares about the other ones.
No one cares about the rest.
Yeah. So I have some suggestions. I had like 5 reasons the event rental industry is only going to grow in the future, because you said something about that in your article.
Mhm.
5 event rental trends for 2025. Um,
Okay, let's do
your-
trends. Let's do the top 5 trends of 2025.
all right. Since you're
Okay.
since you're a future looking person and you are passionate about event trends, let's go ahead and go with your top 5 event trends for
Trends.
2025. Now let's
Um,
start with number 5.
Number 5 is if you're planning a wedding, you are definitely loving right now, sage or green. So like floral linen, but soft, timeless, lots of crystal glassware, very simple. Um, Another trend, if we're going off colors, is like chocolate. So
Does that make number 4, or does that
number
is
4 now, number 4,
okay? Number 4 is chocolate.
chocolate. So there's lots of chocolate browns and like coppers and all of that dark with black and gold. So that's another trend is chocolate.
But it's only the color, it's not
It's
the
only the well, kind of,
delicious
and tone
food.
on tone. So like all these different that like types of chocolate, like latte and chocolate, and all of them all together, like teddy bears almost.
Okay, it's making me hungry, but okay, let's
Yeah,
go to number
teddy
3.
bears. Number 3 would be I think people are going to go really heavy on glassware. And not just like colored glassware like we've seen in the past. I think people really want like cut glass and beautiful crystal. So I think that is a big trend, whether you're doing moody or light or whatever your theme is. I think cut glass is definitely in.
Okay, number 2.
And number 2 would be a trend of chairs. I think right now in design, that bleached wood or that natural wood is really big. So I think a lot of people are gravitating towards upgrading their chairs and venues, their ceremony, all of that to this like natural wood. Again, kind of going along with either of the color trends I just kind of mentioned, is the chocolate or the sage. They both kind of work.
Yeah, they seem like they would go together.
Mhm.
I'm going to pretend that I know what I'm talking
You
about.
know, Brian, tap into my world. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Sage
Right.
floral, French floral, chocolate, you know it all.
All right. Number one event rental trend for 2025.
Draping. All,
Just everywhere.
everything, everywhere, and hung at all different heights, ceiling draping with lights, backdrops, asymmetrical, everything. Yeah, and a lot of fabric, like heavy on this like chiffon fabric.
I'm going to have to investigate you, see if you have any ties to big drapery.
We're getting there. Just kidding.
All right. Well, now you're not only a thought leader, but a trendsetter, and you basically dictated how the event rental
I mean,
industry is
yes,
going to go this year.
but I don't like to follow trends. Those are just what's happening. You guys do whatever you want at an event because that's what makes it special too. Honestly, it is. But just yeah. But those are what's happening in the industry for sure right now.
All right. Well, thank you for that top 5 list. Now let's get into the 5 important questions.
5 important questions.
5 important questions?
5 important questions.
First of all, what would you say is your greatest success in life?
Ooh. I think in my career right now was bringing in the furniture and managing that and getting that all started and having our launch party and beating the streets that we had all of this, and continue to have a love for it. So I think that was looking at everything. That was a highlight of mine for sure. Yep.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying that when you have like family, it's like, yes, family and all of that stuff, but
Yeah.
get some of that career stuff in there.
Yeah.
Number 2, what is your greatest fear?
Mm, um, I think my greatest fear would be I'm a perfectionist, so I feel like letting people down.
If you could tell first day in the industry, Kaitlyn, one piece.
Piece of advice? I
Yes.
got you. I got you. Um,
What would you tell her?
I would tell her everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. I feel like our industry or just where I'm at in my organization is very forgiving, and you're going to be just fine. So maybe put away some of the nerves. I think good nerves are always needed, but you could be less nervous, and more confident in just making decisions or kind of persevering sooner.
Yeah, one of the things that I've heard is that like the nerves, it just means that you care. So you just have
Yeah.
to like
You don't want
remember
them all to
that.
go away. But you don't
Yeah.
want them to like consume everything where it hinders other things. But I think nerves are definitely needed. But yeah, not to the point where they have to hinder other things, or
Yes.
you're scared to do things, or scared to speak out or share your ideas. Because that's what this industry is all ideas and it's all creativity. And um, yeah,
Was there a point early on where you were scared to share your ideas?
Yeah, I feel like when you're new, absolutely. And through, at least here in our organization, it's a team of people. So it's not just like you get to make these decisions. Like we all have our own titles, but we all do the same thing. Like we're all, a part of each decision. So yeah, I think there was a point where I was scared to share ideas because what if in the group of people no one agreed or no one wanted to try or yeah, so I feel like yes, I was there at some point.
I was gonna say, was there a specific point where you're like, I'm okay with this now?
Um Again, I can't give you a timeline, Brian. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's
But
okay.
I feel like where my mind goes to is when I started attending the ARA. I feel like I got a bit of confidence. I got a bit of like, okay, well, the company, my organization is wanting me to make these decisions. And I know things. I know other people or other rental companies, or I'm researching things. So I think attending the ARA gave me a bigger voice for sure.
Yeah, that would make sense. I would figure they're not planning on getting rid of me if they're sending me to this big conference to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or there's a sense of trust that goes along with that. Yeah, and then when you come back and they, agree with everything you want to purchase or what you took away from the sessions or just your ideas, it gave me a little bit of a louder voice.
All right. Well, now that we've talked about how confident you are, what's your
The
most
conf-
embarrassing moment? in your career?
I have lots, but nothing comes to mind.
People do tend to
There,
repress it and
I mean, I
block
say
it.
words all the time that I have no idea what the meaning is or if it is even correct in a sentence. So that's always something that you can always count on me for. Or going into a situation where people like to talk about hockey, know nothing about it, football. So I
You would
don't,
think that with your mom working in the suites
I
at
know,
Senators
no.
games.
I was just there for the decor. Honestly, it was just there to see the stage, the O Canada, the national anthems.
Perfect. What's something that you believe that no one seems to agree with you on?
Like any part of my life.
Yeah.
Um,
You had an answer in the pre
I do.
in
I'm
the
just trying to think of
pre-speech.
what I wrote. Um, Hanging pictures too high.
Okay, what?
People hang to pictures like way too high. They don't have to go up to your ceiling. They just have to be eye level. They do not have
Well,
to be so high.
but isn't eye level subjective for
It is, but like
people?
they're granted, I'm not dealing with like I guess my husband's 6'5", but um just put them in the middle of the wall, but not too high because you know what I do you know what I mean? Would you ever go anywhere and the pictures like by the ceiling? No?
No, we don't hang that many photos, but yeah, I can understand what you're saying. I always have a problem with it being too low. Like we have
Too
mirrors,
low. Yep.
mirrors in our house. I'm only like 6'3", but it's like,
Oh,
oh, that means I
yeah.
have to hunch down
Yeah.
if I want to see myself in the mirror. And
Totally. My
not
husband
not
says the
great.
same thing. There's no eye level mirrors except for in the bathroom for him.
Yeah.
And it's just you just have to make it work, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hey, I've grown up. I'm used to it. I'm
Yes,
very familiar
exactly. You
with
get
it.
used to it.
All right. Well, I'm sorry that you've been sentenced to death as now requiring all photos to be eye level is now a
Eye
capital
level.
offense. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. It's a weird international law. What is your last meal and why?
My like if I were to die?
Yeah, you're on death.
Mm.
Sorry, in America we have this tradition. It's not a great tradition, but you would get a last meal before we put you to death because
Oh,
we're
right.
civilized
Okay.
like
I
that.
get it now.
Yeah.
Canada, we don't do that.
Yes, I know.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell is what you're
Taco
going in
Bell.
on. Is there a particular
The
order?
Burrito Locos Taco.
Okay.
Supreme.
Let's see if we can get you a
There we
sponsorship
go.
deal for that one.
That would be could you imagine them sending you hot sauce? Like, there's so many TikToks I've seen where they've promoted or they've sent people these beautiful packages with all their hot sauce and all their gear. I'd wear that.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's hope you get some. If
I don't know if
I
they'll be from this.
was gonna say if you do,
Maybe.
I want some.
I'll send you one too.
All right.
I'll send you half.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Mm, to be less critical of myself, I think. Yep. All aspects. Anything I do or just like how I present myself, I wish I was a little easier on myself.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one that probably most people
Ev
I hope
Yeah,
have.
but it's, like, something that's also not talked about.
Yeah.
Like, I feel yeah, anyways, if you are, like, a Virgo or a perfectionist, like, you take that to heart, like, everything is like, you're just a critical individual, so you can only imagine how you view yourself. Yeah,
Okay.
so I wish I was easier.
If you could change one thing about the rental industry, what would it be?
Um, I wish other companies and our company was more open to change.
Okay.
And how they run their organizations or the equipment that they're bringing in because just like people are changing, the rental industry changes, event industry changes, and we're always good at adapting, but we always are very reactive. So yeah, I feel like being a little bit more open to change, going paperless, doing more like, website stuff or more socials or whatever that case is. But yeah, I wish we were doing some more of that.
Sort of, except for if everyone became good at it, then you guys wouldn't be able to stand out as easily.
Oh, I know. Well,
But then
I feel like
you
everyone
push yourself to a
w
new level.
that's why we had the podcast. We got the
Yeah,
podcast. No one has the podcast yet.
there we go. Tell me a secret about the rental industry, something that not enough people know about. Because now you've
Uh,
been to all these shows, now you know everything.
I do. Not many people know about it. I don't
Not many
know.
people outside of the industry, because I feel like within the industry, obviously.
Maybe that we don't like we don't have to use table skirting anymore. We have 4-length linens that will do. It would look better if they're nicer. They cover all sides. We don't have to use the clips. But also just the logistics side of it. I don't think many people actually think ahead and think of how is that going to get there? How many days do they need? How much? I just feel like a lot of people that we're dealing with now just think it happens however they want it to happen. It's like, no, you have like an hour to install. Oh, we have like 3 trucks. How is that going to happen? But yeah, I just wish people were a little bit more aware of like the logistics side of the rental industry
Yeah, that is
and the
definitely one
labor.
thing. That's one thing I definitely noticed, like, as I started getting in here or getting to point of rental because I hadn't really dealt with rental at all, is like, oh, there's a lot that goes on in the back end, especially for events.
Yeah, kind of going back to my point, like rentals see everything. Rentals are in like the grind of the event. Um, we get to witness it all, and we get to see where our strengths are and our weaknesses are, and yeah, how we can help other people. But yeah, the logistics side is I don't think many people are aware of actually what happens to put on an event for a couple hours at sometimes. So yeah.
All right. Well, did we get to everything? Is there anything else that people need to know about you, or especially
No, I
about
think we
rentals?
covered a lot of ground. I think you got to know me a little bit. I appreciate you asking me on your podcast. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to be back sometime.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me.
And
Uh,
an idea that you should do is you should have the podcast at the ARA show.
Sometime
Sometime.
I have to help run the booth and help set up the booth, so it
You
becomes
were
very
there.
difficult. Yeah, I was there. I
I
have a
saw
bunch
that
of
twice.
videos. I have a bunch of videos of me shooting video around the area, but it was more social video style type
Yeah,
things.
that's awesome. I did not see you, but I grabbed a lot of pencils.
Good.
The
We were
PR.
trying to get rid of or give out lots of things to
Yeah.
people.
Good. And the frogs, I gave one to anyway.
Good.
Frogs are helpful.
Frogs were my idea, so
Yeah,
that's good.
they're great.
And I hope you got the coloring book, the digital coloring book that comes with it. If you signed up
No,
with, you didn't sign up for to become one of Frankie's friends.
I did not.
Oh well,
Now I'm going to.
if you go to
Can you say that?
pointofrental.com/Frankie, then you get a digital coloring book, and
That's fun.
I wrote the coloring book, so
So you are creative. You got this.
I am.
That is fun.
I just like to do things that I'm not really necessary that aren't necessarily like immediate ROI type things. It's like no, I
Say-
just want to do stills.
I just want to do this for fun.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to go on and register.
Awesome. Well, thank you for chatting today. Thank you to Andrew and Daria for their help producing this, and thank you out there on YouTube, the imaginary audience. I'm just going to record this now so it's easier to edit later. Thank you, and please share the podcast with your friends, and then we can all talk about Kaitlyn behind her back. Sorry.
At least you're talking about me. That's what the celebs say, right?
Yeah, there you go.
All talk is good talk, I guess.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.